Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned in to another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short, your daily dose of not just the news, but answers that you can use like an answer to the question, Chris, were you frozen there at the beginning of the broadcast? And the answer is no. I just have to wait a little while longer before I know I'm actually live. It's due to software that apparently is not getting a lot of attention in comparison to its Windows counterpart. But that's okay. I'm broadcasting live now. And some say the signal has never looked better. That's because I'm going out of the camera through HDMI by way of USB into the Mac. And at some point next week, I'm going to experiment with streaming in 1080p instead of the 720p. We're going to see how well that works. And with any luck, we'll be good to go. Today, we're going to be full of questions and answers because it is a Friday, so it's an AMA. If you are a patron at the $5 a month level and higher, you get priority. So if you've ever had a question answered by me or ever wanted to have a question answered by me, all I ask is that you become a patron, really. In fact, I could probably just answer questions 24/7, and I think people will be fine. Without the patron campaign, I would not be able to do what it is that I'm doing on a regular basis for you, including fueling the podcast, which you can subscribe to. It's really easy to do. So thanks again to everybody's support. This week, I was able to do TLDR for everybody every day. I do it every day for the patrons, but everybody got it this week, thanks in large part to a sponsor, LittleBits.com/LockerGnome. For those of you who love hardware, but are maybe afraid to play with hardware. I mean, yes, I know you use hardware, but I mean, in terms of actually building something with circuits, do you have the skill to pull that off? You probably do. I do not. So I need something like LittleBits. Look at that. Circuits in seconds. I've been showing you various small projects that I've been putting together with this kit. You can add craft supplies, household items, other toys, and building sets. These little components, these pieces, were designed to unleash your creativity. So, I'm going to see how well this works. I probably need my daughter's help for this because she's been inclined to scream lately, and this would be perfect for her. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the module. What I've got here is an RGB LED at the top, and this is a sound trigger here. And so basically, when it's connected to the power, let me go ahead and hold it up a little closer for you. It shouldn't illuminate this LED, which can be adjusted, by the way, with the little screwdriver, which comes with the kit. Hang on, I gotta get my little screwdriver. Ugh. And I don't mean any other kind of screwdriver. There we go. Perfect screwdriver here. You could probably also use a precision screwdriver. I can adjust the RGB intensity so I can tweak the color if I wanted to. So, with any luck, this is going to work. Okay, here we go. We're going to turn it on. Oh, sensitivity. See, that's the other thing. I gotta turn down the sensitivity. Give me a second. I've got too much noise going on here. Ha! Sensitivity. Sensitivity. My sensitivity needed to be turned down. Did something happen? I had to turn the sensitivity down. And, of course, I could adjust that. Glad I grabbed the screwdriver. So, it'll only react very loud. Oh, I turned it off. Okay, well, enough of that. I've now demonstrated that once you adjust the sensitivity level, and you can even adjust the color here. I'm going to twist this particular screw. Make it more green. It's now more green. Green and red, look at that. So, it's a lot of fun to put this stuff together because you never really know what you want to build until you've got the components to put it all together. So, LittleBits.com/LockerGnome will save you some money. It's easy to do. Head over there, check the link in the description, and you can start putting together your own stuff. And, you know, what would I use this for? I don't know. I got like, maybe it'd be like one of those things where I wanted to be notified, like, visually if a sound happened. Like, and I couldn't hear the sound, I could see visually that the trigger went off. So if I couldn't hear the sound, that sounds, well, let's say I couldn't hear anything, but I could see and I could build a component that would make it possible. So thanks again to LittleBits.com/LockerGnome for sponsoring this week's TLDR. That's the only way I was able to do the TLDR for everybody. Other than that, if you want every single TLDR in video, just become one of the patrons, and you get other bonuses as well, including the Q&A deep dive today. I talked about some reasons as to why I believe Google is going to push out Chrome OS tablets and why I would prefer a Chrome OS tablet over an Android tablet. I made the argument, and hopefully no one wanted to argue about it. But I shared that as the dedicated Q&A video. I do a deep dive with patrons every single weekday. It's just another bonus, 5 bonus videos for patrons every week that nobody else gets. And I'm happy about that. I'm happy that we have deals for everybody, though. Nimble RFID blocking slim wallet, 33% off. In case you're the type of person to wear a tinfoil hat and you don't want any kind of credit card or any kind of card in your wallet to be scanned with an RFID chip, this is something that can help you keep the RFID nasties at bay. And it's 33% off. We've also got an iPad tips and tricks free video training tutorial set, free, at Turbo X Mini Drone, 40% off. In case you don't want to hear me drone on and on about it, just go to deals.lockergnome.com. We also have the iMac with 5K Retina Display Giveaway. Again, deals.lockergnome.com. On that front, I'm planning on, with this ongoing series, every week I do 7 things I like or 7 reasons I like or don't like a particular thing. I am going to be stacking after I'm done covering the LG G4, things I like, things I don't like. I am going to be doing the 7 things I like and 7 things I don't like about the iMac that I'm currently using, as well as 7 things I like and don't like about the MacBook. I've got a PC that I'm going to talk about the 7 things I like about, and that's going to be sponsored at some point in the near future. So I've got a lot of really, I think, fun and easy and worth doing videos being published in my classic channel on youtube.com/Chris Pirillo. It's my classic channel. We're publishing videos daily in one channel or another, and very grateful for everybody's support. So as I said, today is an AMA. Maybe you're wondering if AppleCare is worth getting. Head over to Pirillo.com. I set up this blog last week because I'm optimizing it for the iOS News app. You can subscribe in RSS. Why is it optimized for the iOS News app? Well, because Apple's giving revenue share to publishers, and I like that. So it's going to be very tech-centric, talking about a variety of my perspectives on consumer tech, what I believe, goes beyond the news or just my postulates. And that was one of the questions that was asked in an AMA last week, and I decided to just flesh it out in a blog post. And this is a common question that I'm sure I'm going to be asked over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So I just figured I'd answer it anyway. It was pretty straightforward. And I've got other posts there as well, including what is and what is not a PC. What is and what is not a question? Well, that is my question as I pop over to the AMA thread. Boy, this is going to be a long one. Did you hear about the Heinz Ketchup QR code? Asks Joe Tashi. I did not. I missed that. I'm not a fan of ketchup, though. Joe also asks, hey, Chris, did you see the picture on Twitter about the arcade machine? Also, where'd you get the Star Wars cereal? I want to try it. Yeah, I saw your picture, your diagram. I'm still not sure how I would be able to get everything to work the way I need it to work. If only because I've kind of got things set up with the game capture card here at my desk, plugged into the USB there, keeping the cables and clutter out of the way. I'd have to get a second one, which, is practical. I could do that and then possibly set it up, if I wanted to stream directly from the arcade machine in one way, shape, or form. Right now, I've just been experimenting to see if people even want to watch the classic games if I happen to stream gameplay. And the answer so far is I'm not sure. I may be the only one who likes retro games in this community. Some people seem to like some of the casual games that I've tried in testing it over the course of this week, but you know what? That's okay. I'm happy in playing with those kind of games because, hey, that's me. June 17th, which was the other day, on the Force Friday countdown for the Vintage Collection, Emperor's Royal Guard, since you asked about Star Wars cereal. That is the Vintage Collection. I didn't get the Vintage Collection version. I only had the classic version, the old Kenner one. Rick Oley, right there, who also played a role in Marvel's Agent Carter. The actor who played Rick Oley. And then the 19th, Black Series Chewbacca. This guy is tall. I don't have him yet. Very, very tall. And certainly worth collecting if you're into collecting action figures. So that brings us completely up to date. Now I'm moving on. The cereal I got at the store. They're going to be releasing them over the next few months. Of course, I did a video review on the Star Wars cereal. did an unboxing, did a taste test, and in today's vlog that I'm recording, or is in the process of recording, you'll see me do a taste test comparison between the UK Star Wars cereal and the US Star Wars cereal. Current Star Wars cereals, that is. And, yeah, the results may surprise you. I posted a link on, or a photo of the taste test on Instagram. That may have been fun to do on Periscope, but hey, just check your store, cereal aisle. If you don't see it yet, it will show up soon. I'm confident Star Wars is just going to get blitzkrieg. And I'm fine with that. As a matter of fact, on Sunday, I've decided, Hun. Okay, well, I guess Hun's not listening. People have been asking when am I going to launch the Star Wars channel. I've registered the domain. I've registered the usernames. I'm waiting to possibly get an avatar. I'm thinking of launching my Star Wars channel on Father's Day because it's got the word Vader in it, which is Dutch for father, and that's my plan. And basically, I've taken some of the recent Star Wars videos, some that haven't been published yet, and have put it into that new channel. It's pretty much just going to be all Star Wars. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking about it here in TLDR, but I'm just saying I've got some. I gotta have a Star Wars outlet, man. I got a tech outlet. That's in my classic channel now, but that's tech and cars. I don't know. I just publish everywhere because if I publish it in one place, some people like things and not other things, and other people like the other things and not the things that. It's difficult to have one channel these days. That's the bottom line. Greg Balmain asks, have you ever been offered a job from any of the companies that you've done consultancy for? Yes, I have. Can't talk about it because I'm under NDA. Tony asks another series of new questions. Now, some of these questions, Tony asks really good questions. Y'all ask really good questions. But some of them may get parlayed into dedicated posts because they're really good think pieces. Which iPhone Maps app do you use and why? With iOS 9 showing new features of Apple Maps, do you believe Apple's Map app will ever surpass Google Maps? For me personally, both are terribly frustrating. For example, Google Maps never seems to point me in the right direction and always shows me walking diagonally, and Apple Maps once gave me directions saying cross the street and then turn around. I go back and forth. I'll be honest with you. If I'm going through Siri, I'm like, hey, take me home, or whatever the direction happens to be, then I'm popped into Apple Maps. But there have been times when I'm looking for deeper information that I'll use Google Maps. And unfortunately, I don't know if I've got to go to immediately. Sometimes I say, oh, I'll just go to Google Maps because it'll have it, and it doesn't. And Apple Maps does. So I don't have a go-to. I really, honestly, truly do not have a go-to service for mapping. At least on the desktop or iOS. If, of course, I'm on the desktop, it's usually me searching for something, and I don't think, oh, I'll launch the Maps application. I of course, naturally, at this stage, do a Google search. But that may very well change, especially with the pending release of iOS 9 and OS 10, 10.11, El Capitan later this summer. Very much looking forward to that. So, I don't have a preference. I really don't. It's getting easier and easier to not use Google Maps, I'll tell you that. Apple's done a very, very good job with data. It's been incredibly responsive, clean. You okay? Yeah. Okay. So either way, I don't have a preference. I really don't. I genuinely do not. I'm not saying one over the other. It depends, but I guess I don't. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I really haven't. It's different for maps because, like, if you were to ask me, what's your default web browser on iOS? Well, Safari's the default, but I don't use the Chrome web browser on iOS. So I use Safari. It's just there. And even though I have Chrome installed, I don't use it all that often for one reason or another. And I think that Maps, for some reason, is different. And it could have very well been that I've just gotten used to Google Maps. But eventually, I could probably, continue to wean myself off of Google services on iOS, and Maps just gets better. And it's not that I'm a holdout for the public transportation options either, because I'm not. It's not something that I generally do, apart from when I'm traveling. Question number 70. Now that Google Photos is out, and although it's not even close to being perfect, speaking of not being perfect, no wait, my wife is perfect. The Google Photos app not being perfect, be sure to start your Google Photos app again. I have to remind her to do that because the Google Photos app, once you have it set up to sync, doesn't sync photos or videos unless you're actively in the app and the phone is powered on, or iPad or whatever. And that's stupid. It's a massive shortcoming. Like if I say, yes, sync the photos, sync the freaking photos. So she's got like 10,000 to sync, and it is going to take a long freaking time. Do you think Apple's iCloud or iPhotos will offer something, or iCloud Photos, that was my verbal typo, not Tony's, will offer something similar with unlimited storage versus their 5 gig free storage? As of now, they seem to be at a competitive disadvantage compared to the other cloud storage offerings. For example, Dropbox offering 15 gigs, Google the same, and OneDrive offering a whopping 10 terabytes for Office 365 users. So, yes and no. Apple's advantage is in hardware. And the Photos app is baked into iOS. It's baked into OS X now. Google Photos isn't. You can download the Google Photos app. It's the one I prefer, honestly, in terms of navigating photos. But you still need that default experience in terms of getting photos from point A to point B. So, if Apple sees that Google's cleaning its clock in terms of where mindshare is going, they may very well change that plan. They may very well change that structure. I would like to see that happen. Apple's going to try to make money wherever they can, as you would any company. Right now, though, I don't know if Google Photos has had enough of a foothold. Maybe 2 years from now, if Apple sees that as far as users are concerned, they have the Photos app, but they're not using it that often, or Google Photos is just doing a better job, and they don't have to worry about storing things and we're running out of space, so they go to Google Photos. The thing to keep in mind is that one of the things that Apple's touting as a feature, whether they call it a feature outright, is privacy. So you can go to Google Photos for free and potentially Google's terms of service, or you could pay Apple and not have to worry about your privacy being violated outright. I'm not saying Google's going to violate your privacy. I'm just saying that is a value of paying Apple for the service. And even though it's at a competitive disadvantage in terms of price, Apple could very well argue that Google is at a competitive disadvantage because it doesn't value your privacy as much as Apple does. Apple makes money differently. So, yes and no. Would I like to see it happen? Absolutely. Would that keep me from using Google Photos if it did happen? Not necessarily. I really like what Google Photos does. I really do. I think it's a good service. I think it's going to improve over time. I think Google's done a fantastic job with the rebrand. And it's the service that, for now, I mean, even Diana, she's running out of space on her phone. And she just doesn't want to delete any photos. I told her, I said, well, you just got to put you on Google Photos. That's what we got to do. And so with that, she won't be as stressed out. It won't be as stressful of a procedure because, quite honestly, paying for photo space is not as valuable for us. I mean, the privacy is important. But in terms of paying, do we really want to pay that much when we know we can save that much more money and just, agree to Google's terms of service? Well, we're willing to agree to Google's terms of service. Some people won't, and some people don't want to. Apple has to recognize whether or not people find that valuable enough to be able to charge for them, to charge for the service, and saying, hey, well, with us, you get privacy, but you have to pay. Some people are willing to pay the price. Other people, not so much. Question number 71. Can you believe Tony's been with us so long that he's asked 71 questions of me and I've answered every one of them? Do you believe internet anonymity is a major contributor to producing internet bullies? For example, back in Korea, a lot of websites are now changing their registration requirements to having to provide your actual ID card number, similar to a social security number in the States, to even register for a website. Internet bullying was so bad at one point that celebrities were even committing suicide because of what internet bullies would say about them online. The consequences of slandering someone online is now punishable by law, and people actually do get arrested for it. Yeah, this is a good question. It really genuinely is. And I believe that there's an extreme value to anonymity when it's not used as a weapon against somebody else. I think if you're going to do something that would be considered evil or nefarious, mean, rude, anything in that not very gray area, trollish, bullying, just like outright, WTF! Would you want this to happen to you? In that category, I don't think anonymity is really something that should be used in that case. But as I said, that's not taking. I'm not saying that anonymity is not important. It's very important. The internet needs anonymity. Absolutely, it is very, very valuable. If it's not used as a weapon against somebody else in that very, very black area, this isn't like 256 Shades of Grey. It's black and white. Like, if you don't want that to ever happen to you, don't do it to somebody else. That's the area that I'm saying that anonymity is often used as a weapon. Bullying being one example. But, as I said, there are times that the value of anonymity is very, very high, especially when your life is at risk to do something or to provide something or to do something that may have consequences, but it's not a personal attack. And that's a very white area of anonymity. So it's not to me, it is a black and white issue, but unfortunately you're never going to hear me say otherwise. And that's how I choose to respond to this. In terms of bullying, yeah, I think that if you're going to, I'll just say, back in my day, bullies did bullying to my face, and I knew exactly who they were, and they were accountable for their actions, and I had a target, and I knew exactly who they were, and the internet has removed any amount of culpability for these actions that are very much in that black area. And, I think that's where it's being abused. And they're using it, and they're abusing other people. And I just boil it down to, unless you've got a screw loose, using something like that as a weapon against somebody else, it speaks to the worst of humanity. In fact, I'd hesitate to even put you in the same class of people when you abuse that it's really a privilege. And I would say almost a right. In terms of being anonymous, so long as it's not used as a weapon against somebody else, specifically to target. As I said, black and white. To me, it's black and white. You're going to bully someone, at least let them know who you are. There you go. Gets around the problem. And obviously, Korea got around that problem. And people have been arrested for it. Good for Korea. Lord knows I could have used some arrests. And a lot of people could. People don't realize that you impact other people's lives when you do anything online. Anything you say, anything you do, anything you share. Some people just have zero respect for themselves and vicariously zero respect for other people. And we have to deal with them. And it's not going to go away because unfortunately people think that it's acceptable behavior, and it's simply not. It's not tolerable. Completely not tolerable. As far as I'm concerned, it's well within the realm of classism, elitism. I hesitate to use too many other isms, but it reeks of a lot of isms, and that's pretty much what I'm going to say. Because in bullying, you're trying to make yourself look better, feel better, make someone else feel worse. For what reason? Because they're beneath you? No. They're a human being just like you are. And if you don't treat them like a human being, well, that says more about you than it does about them. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, human being isn't just living. It's that condition, that the condition of understanding what humanity is and the best of humanity. Because that's the only way we're going to survive. It's the only way we're going to evolve. It's the only way we're going to get better, is when we understand that about ourselves. If you don't want to have it happen to you, don't do it to somebody else. Respect their boundaries. Okay, didn't mean to go too deep into that, but that was a good question. Question number 72, I enjoyed watching your Crossy Road gameplay. Yeah, that was the casual game that everyone seemed to like the most. I may have to do it again. You seem to be talking a lot about broadcasting your gaming in the past few days. Everyone on Twitch broadcasts their gameplay regardless of licensing issues. If everyone else is doing it, that's pretty much what Twitch is made for. What are you afraid of? Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean I want to do it. I want to get permission. Yeah, it doesn't feel right. It feels ooky. If I didn't get permission, then I just feel like I violated something. And part of that is my ethos. I don't want to do something intentionally knowing that I'm violating somebody else's licensing or trademark or copyright or whatever. I don't want to do it intentionally. So that way I can say I didn't want to do it intentionally. So I thought about streaming Crossy Road again, or at least my attempts to break my top score. And but before I do, even asking the permission from the people who created Crossy Road, I'm like, is it okay if I monetize these Crossy Road videos. Because it was, out of all the videos that these casual games that I've played, that's the one that's gotten the most amount of attention. So, I'll do it again. I may do it again. We'll see. So, thank you, Tony, for asking your series of questions. But I will do it again if and when I get permission. Like, I'd like to know someone at Activision to talk, hey, could I monetize these classic Activision games that I like to play? Or Atari, can I monetize these classic Atari games that I want to play? These classics. Because, otherwise, then I can't monetize effectively. I wouldn't feel good. I'd rather have that relationship with Atari, with Activision, with any of these game developers, to know that they're not going to come out at me years later and say, all those videos that, got views, we need money. I don't want to do that. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean they're right. And that's a moral call. That's my ethos. That's just my decision. Brian H. Hey Chris, rough week. Had one of my 2 terabyte hard drives go down on my Windows 7 gaming rig. Ouch. And I never got quite around to making a heavy duty backup. Yikes. It's one of the reasons why I've done my best to live life cross-platform, not reliant on one machine or another. And if only for that reason, knowing that I don't want a single point of failure. And that's something that actually I need to write down. I need to do something else. Hang on. Okay, wrote it down. Thank you for reminding me. I thought about it this morning and didn't write it down. Now I did. You reminded me. So I went out and bought a 240 gig Intel solid state drive for my OS, Windows 10 Preview, which I say is beautiful. I agree and disagree with you on the beauty, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And some core software to accompany my other 2 terabyte, which is just now being used for storage. 2 questions this week. What's the best way, in your experience, to back up PC data? Cloud storage, RAID array, something else? I'd say a mix. I'd say a hybrid model. So, talked about photos, right? Those are treasured memories. I have a variety of services that I use. Local storage, remote storage. I don't really keep track of documents, per se. Not like other people do. If only because I hate document management. Just like file management, it's kind of like, what are you going to do about your music? Well, I have a subscription to it. I don't have to worry about those files. I don't want to manage files. I don't want to worry about those files. I just don't want to. I'm tired of worrying about files. Tired of it. So sick and tired of worrying about files. This is honestly what I find so strange, that a lot of classic computer users are, they're all up in arms because iOS, where's the proper file management? Rah! Well, now in iOS 9, you've got the iCloud drive, or the app that you can get to it's hidden by default, but you can get to, or at least in the current version, you can get to the iCloud drive. And that's file management of sorts. But to me, the reason why it would be hidden by default is because I think people are beyond it. I think people are like me. I feel like I'm a normie that way. I don't want to manage files. I'm tired of managing files. God, even in the heyday of like MP3s and movies and digital stuff, I was like, no, I don't want to rip. I'll have a physical copy and I'll watch it there. I just want to subscribe. I'm done managing. I don't want it. Do not want. So that, I think, is honestly the approach that's going to be the future. I think eventually, inevitably, it's going to be a hybrid. But hang on, Liz is asking something. Okay, I'll answer this question here in a second. I've got a question on my watch. The idea of a hybrid strategy at least removes a single point of failure. And honestly, if I were you, my feeling is get away from file management. I'm so tired of managing files. So tired. Sick and tired. Sick and tired of managing files. And I know I'm not alone. So, hybrid. But the closer you can get to device independence, trust me, the happier you will be. Trust me. The less technology you have in your life, the happier you will be. And I'm not saying remove technology from your life, but I'm just saying just be very, very careful and calculated in terms of the tech that you bring into your life. Because it's potentially a headache waiting to happen. Streamline. The less tech you have, the better. And some people are, what? That doesn't mean you should stop trying new tech. That doesn't mean you should just get rid of all tech. No. Tech is very important. But don't overdo it. Choose wisely. Too much tech in your life could actually be, it could lead to a struggle. Think about that. Do you really, for the rest of your life, do you want to just be your own tech support? Okay. Maybe you feel that way now, but the older you get, trust me, you don't want to manage this stuff anymore. I don't. Unless you get paid to manage it. I don't get paid to manage tech. It's not my job. It's not my job description. It's not what I do. I get paid to understand it and to communicate it effectively and its value. So hybrid, but closer you can get to a universal, I guess, independence of management, the happier you're going to be. Also, what are your some tips, do's and don'ts for solid state drives? Do's and don'ts? I don't know if I have any do's and don'ts. Go for the fastest and the highest capacity you can afford and use it. Don't not use it. I wouldn't say rely on it any more than you rely on hard drives. It's hardware. It's going to be prone to failure, and it could very well happen. Of course, you got to remember hard drives, data may be recoverable. If your SSD crashes or something happens, it's gone. Sorry. Better luck next time. 9 times out of 10, that's the case. So, if I had any tips, my suggestion is, despite capacity of hard drives superseding and the price being lower than a solid state drive or solid state drive, my recommendation is SSD all the way because of the speed. No friction. There's no moving parts. Yay, SSD. Big fat win in terms of performance. Now, next question. Liz asked, by the way, from Matt Palmer, when he went on his toy photography outing, did everyone else have a DSLR, and is he tempted to get one? Oh, from the vlog that was published. Most people did have a DSLR. In fact, maybe I was the only one with a phone. I'm still not tempted, because inevitably I'd get it and then it would sit. It's nice to be able to take nicer photos with the DSLR, but 9 times out of 10, I find myself, and I'm being flippant, but for the most part, I just go with the path of least resistance when it comes to hardware. Because I'd get this great hardware, and then I'm like, I never use it. Why'd I buy it? Because it's great, but I never use it. So what's the point of buying it? But it's great, but I never have it on me. So what's the point? So I err on the path of least resistance when it comes to technology. That's usually the path I take. Path of least resistance. What camera do I have on me? The one that's in my phone. That's all I need. Could I have taken a better shot? Absolutely. With a better camera? Absolutely. Would it have been more expensive? Absolutely. Would I have always had it on me? Not necessarily. And I just find that most of the photos that I need to take, that I want to take, that I have taken, are shots that seem to look good enough to me from the phone. Whatever phone I happen to be using. So yeah, that's my feeling. Not inclined to get a DSLR yet. Or again, I should say. Mitchell C. McClendon asks, I'm planning on purchasing a MacBook sometime between late August or early September. What are your thoughts concerning the Apple wholesale companies and the products? Would you recommend buying Apple's products from other retailers instead of major vendors? Thanks. Mitchell, it's completely up to you. Or is it Michelle? I'm not sure how to say your name. It is spelled, if I've been saying Mitchell all along, you haven't corrected me yet. It is completely up to you. Price, service, support, there's so many options to consider. You ask about Amazon. Well, I prefer to get stuff on Amazon, if only because we earn gift cards, so it's kind of free. Free in the sense that I'm using points in exchange for it. It's not free outright. You may have gift cards that you can earn. Well, the two that I choose, because he mentions Amazon and eBay. eBay's got great tech deals. Amazon can have good tech deals, can be very competitive. But you got to look at the ecosystem. Support, service, not just cost outright. It's not just about how much does this cost. It's the total cost of ownership. And a lot of people forget about that. How are they going to support that product? Are they going to support that product? Is it going to cost you more? Is it going to be more frustrating if something goes wrong? And as Brian had mentioned previously, technology can fail. What's going to happen when something goes wrong? Not just what's going right. What happens when it goes wrong? You have to answer that question, not me. And every vendor is going to be completely different in terms of how they address various problems in relation to the product that you're getting. Steve Mannering asks, are you still involved with virtual currency? Not as much. It's still fascinating to watch and see from a distance, but honestly, it's just there's too many weird things that I see happening with cryptocurrency that just makes me go, yeah, not for me yet. Fascinating, yes, but I don't. I'm good right now. I'm okay. That could change. I can and will likely be convinced at some point in the future that it's something for me. It's just not for me yet. Next, Steve continues. A hot topic in the tech industry is jobs that will no longer be needed because of automation and artificial intelligence. Okay, it's my opinion, this is Steve, that outsourcing has caused and will continue to cause more harm in the U.S. economy than computerization. Imagine if Apple products were manufactured here, for example. What's your opinion? I believe we're in a global economy. I believe it's impossible to cut yourself off from certain products because of where they're manufactured or how they're manufactured, because you just don't know. You don't know everything in the chain. I think U.S. consumers demand lowest cost, but how do you get a low-cost product? Do you make it in the U.S.? Is it a low-cost product? If you make it in the U.S., is it a product that people want? Is it a high-quality, low-cost product? There are all these trade-offs. So, to me, eventually, and maybe not in my lifetime, eventually we will see a society that's closer to a global society, much like we're in a global economy, mutually assured destruction, where it's not about country anymore. It's not necessarily about consuming anymore. It's just about experiencing life as we determine life needing to be experienced, and not have to worry about geopolitical boundaries. It's a very, very tricky concept to consider, but once we are able to look past this existence as it exists on this planet, I think that's when it's going to really become a reality. And what's going to accelerate that? If and when we realize that we're not alone in the universe. If and when. And you look at Star Trek, and I think Star Trek has got, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much a utopian view of civilization. And instead of having to work to live, you're living and you're pursuing one interest or another. And whether that means exploring, which I think is in the human condition, or staying on one planet or another and just pursuing something and not having to worry about how you're going to get your next meal or any one thing or another. It will continue to cause harm, but in terms of how we perceive jobs and security, and our own life security, because we're just in this weird stage. The internet is its own country. I really believe that, and you're a netizen. I've connected with you and can in this way, not because we share something apart from this virtual space together, maybe common interests, and I can't wait. And I'm sure it's going to happen. Maybe not in our lifetime, but to know, I don't not say we're going to be visited by another civilization, but just to know definitively, hey, we're not alone. Just to know, and I think that changes everything. I really genuinely do. I cannot state that it's fact. I have a belief that we're not alone, but that's my belief. It has not been. I do not believe it's been proven. It cannot be proven. But once that happens, we're in a Star Trek world, or coming closer to it. No money. No money. That solves everything. No money solves everything. But for that to happen, that's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time and probably send us through a lot of bad things first. Steve also asks, in one car review video, you said that analog gauges are more accurate than digital gauges. But if digital gauges are more precise, how can analog gauges be more accurate? You got me. Possibly because the needle shows you fractions, in terms of, speed goes from 24 to 25. But the needle, far more accurate, and the digital gauge is not exactly as accurate, I guess. That matters to some people. Doesn't matter to me. I want to know, am I going 25? The number says 25. I'm going 25. Am I going 25? Where's the needle? Is the needle on a 25? Oh, it's just below a 25. So is that a 23? Is that a 20? Hate it. Do not want. Then again, I'm a fan of the idea of a self-driving car. Hopefully within 10 years. I'm hoping. Steve Mannering asks, the goal of replacing the wallet has never been more obvious for Apple since the announcement of iOS 9. However, the two things that tether me to a physical wallet are, one, the driver's license, and two, insurance card. If anything, what's keeping you from tossing your wallet? Legacy, much like yourself. Cash, being one of those things. It's a necessary evil. And eventually, we'll be able to get past it, but not anytime soon. I'm still dealing with vendors who don't take credit cards. They just want to take checks. Okay. So the world's got to catch up to technology. It's not there yet. Maybe in another 10 years. Maybe. Jan Stote asks, if someone told you in your vlog that within less than 1,000 days you would become a VODer, what would you tell them? Become another VODer? Another father? Within less than if someone told you in vlog 1 that within less than 1,000 days you would become a VODer. Thank you, I missed that part. What would I tell them? Can't wait. Jedi has been she reconfigures DNA. Really, it's true. Well, not DNA, but it reconfigures your emotional state. As a father, as a mother, this is scientifically proven. You actually produce different hormones. You start thinking differently. And it's true. Jedi's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I would have loved it if she was born earlier or later. I would have loved her all the same. But of course, that's not a practicality. You can't... That was it. Like, that moment in time... It'd have been a day later. It'd have been a second later. It'd have been a minute later. You never know. That's how it goes. I mean, that's the roll of the die. Or dice. So, yeah. Life is interesting. And, I've done a lot of things in life. But, Jedi is the best thing that I've done. Not a single regret. Not a single regret. And I can't explain that to anybody if you couldn't understand it until you become a parent yourself. You're never going to understand it. You just won't. Because I thought, I hear people talking about it, and you just don't get it. You don't get it. Then you become a parent. Then you get it. And it's not just about responsibility. It's everything. It's everything. Why are we here? Boy, we're getting really philosophical today. Why are we here? Why? To play video games? Nope, not it. To collect technology? Not it. To enjoy Star Wars? Nope, not it. We are here, quite simply, go to the basic level, to perpetuate the species. That's it. Period. End of story. That's it. We're here to perpetuate the species. Everything else is a bonus. So I'm happy to have done my job, biologically speaking, and perpetuated the species. Or attempted to. And hopefully Jedi will continue to perpetuate the species as time goes on. I'm not rushing her. I'm not looking forward to grandkids yet. I'm not at that stage. Let me enjoy this. And I am enjoying it. Thank you for asking these really good questions today, folks. I appreciate everybody's support, whether you're a patron or not. I love you all the same. You're all my nomies. It's just that I have super nomies. They get bonuses starting at $2 a month on up. $5 a month pledges on up, get other bonuses. $10 a month, get other bonuses. $25 a month, get other bonuses. Very, very happy for your ongoing support and continuing to help me do the things that I'm doing for you and for everybody else. If I can figure out other ways of getting bonuses, I will. Absolutely. I am thinking about doing the Twitch thing. Maybe I'll do Crossy Road on Twitch. Maybe that'll be my start game. Thank you for being you. I'm going to roll into the Patreon Hangout now. You can tune in there. More information on today's Patreon post. And that link, I don't know if it's in the video description. Oh, no, it's the AMA link is in the video description. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for this week's sponsor, LittleBits.com/LockerGnome. Hey, if you like seeing TLDR every day, tell LittleBits. Tell them, hey, thank you. Just tell them. You know, even if you're not in the market for it right now, just tell them thank you. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to pull off this week. So thank you. Everybody, thank you. See, I try to say thank you every day. I really do. I mean, not everybody does. Not every content creator does. I try. And I make it a point. So, see you in the Hangout in just a few minutes. More information at chrispirillo.com. At this point, however, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.